Well, good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here, wilhitewx.com. Well, it's March. It's a transition month. And if you'll remember right, I said at the end of February, it would take a miracle to get us some snow in March, the way things were looking. But don't rule out miracles because March is a transition month. Well, here we are now on the 11th of March, and we're under a winter weather advisory here in the Ohio Valley. Never count winter out in March. The good thing about March snows is if you don't like snow, well, they don't last very long, and it warms up pretty doggone quick here, so they won't last long. This is looking more like a Kentucky hit than an Indiana hit, but I think Indiana may get just a little bit of this as well. Let's dive right into it here. First off, winter weather advisories have been hoisted for a good chunk of Kentucky that you see down here in purple. That'll start this afternoon around, around the close to the dinner time frame. I don't have the exact time on that. I tell you what, we'll just go check out really quickly here. I should have had this pulled up here. The text of this, it starts at 5 o'clock this afternoon and goes until 4 a.m. That's Central Time. So winter weather advisories hoisted there again for Kentucky. Total snow accumulation, so 1 to 3 inches. 1 to 3 inches expected. Isolated higher amounts are possible. Let's go through the data and you'll see exactly what I mean. I'm going to show you multiple models just to kind of give you a feel for this. It's a complicated setup. Essentially what you have is a low going to our south, and on the back side of it, some cold air is being wrapped in. So just exactly how much cold air gets wrapped in and when that changeover occurs is going to depend on who gets what. The HER model is our hourly model, and this is, the one that I usually rely on in situations like this. And so I'm going to focus not only on southern Indiana, but also on Kentucky for the purposes of this video. Again, for most of you watching this on Facebook, you've known me as southern Indiana weather for years, but I've also expanded to include Kentucky, so just keep that in mind. I think Kentucky, you folks are going to get more of the brunt of the hit of this than Indiana will. But I think those of us in Indiana will see a little bit out of this. Here's the future radar. Expect some showers to break out this afternoon. So this is by about 4 or 5 this afternoon. And then you notice we start to transition here in the southwest corner of the state to kind of a rain snow mix. And then it'll go over to eventually some snow. And you notice the HER model really just misses Indiana for us on this. It delivers a pretty nice hit for Kentucky out of this. But for most of us in southern Indiana, that is a miss. Now we can take a look at the high-res NAM, the 3-kilometer NAM. I'm just gonna preface this by saying it's not performing well. It's got some convective feedback issues. There comes the rain again, but look at this, and it transitions that to snow here for a little bit more of us into southwest Indiana. But again, primarily a Kentucky hit with this. As you go through, it transitions us into some heavy snow, and I'm not buying the total amount of snow. I'll show you the snow total maps here in a minute. And when you see the NAM, you'll just literally laugh out loud. All right. Here is the GFS. GFS does change over to snow. It's the furthest north. It does give southern Indiana a little bit of a hit out of this. It's about the only one that's delivering an inch or more of a hit out of this. We'll see. I'm not really buying that. We'll see what today's models do, and I'll have an update in the afternoon to this again. But you see it's on board for snow now. And by the way, all these models were sporadic all over the place yesterday. They are dialing in now on snow, so it's a little higher confidence forecast. Canadian yesterday morning showed absolutely nothing. In fact, whenever I posted my update last night, I said that the Canadian and Euro just kind of LOL'd at the American models and said, no way, not happening. Today they're on board. So here's the Canadian, and you see, again, just for the extreme southern Indiana, right along the Ohio River, it transitions to just a little bit of snow, but it's a nice hit for Kentucky. And then finally, we got the Euro model, and the Euro model looks a lot more like the HER, the shorter term. And you can see it's a rain and just sort of a mix, and maybe right here along the Ohio River, these counties right along the Ohio River might get just a little bit, but it's primarily a Kentucky hit after this. So let's look at the snow models and get an idea, and then we'll talk about the official forecast and go from there. So, if you take a look at the Euro model, well, it doesn't deliver a significant amount. It's 1 to 2 and up to 3 inches here in the blue shadings. An inch or less here by the time you get into this dark gray. And for most of us here in southern Indiana, it's just a light dusting if we see anything at all. So it's not a significant hit. It's a rain snow mix with not much of anything sticking, if you believe the Canadian model, or excuse me, the European model here. It's early in the morning, and keep in mind, folks, I'm also a pastor, so I got like 90 things rolling my way here in my mind. The HERM model is very similar to the European model, and you notice this only goes out 18 hours, so it doesn't see the whole event for Kentucky. But you can see it delivers an accumulating snow hit. It would give almost an inch to about as far north as Evansville here, but pretty much it's a Kentucky hit, and maybe just right along the Ohio River. Those you folks right along the Ohio River may get some out of this, but it's a snow, but it's a minor snow. Well, compare that to the high resolution NAM. The 3-kilometer NAM is just going bonkers, and this is going all over social media. 8 inches of snow. Come on. This is a known issue. It's called convective feedback. It's a known error in the model. Sometimes the NAM model just likes to go QPF crazy. QPF is quantitative precipitation forecast. Basically, it just likes to overestimate by bunches and bunches of what's going to fall. And remember, if you've overestimated the liquid, even by just a little bit, well, snow is a 10-to-1 ratio. So for every inch of liquid, that's 10 inches of snow. So if you're off by 2 or 3/10 of an inch of liquid equivalent here, then it just blows up the snow maps. And that's what you're seeing here. Will you folks down in Kentucky see 8 inches of snow? No stinking way. I don't buy that for 1 minute. An inch or two? Yeah, that's reasonable, but no, not 8 inches. That's so that as far as what I think about this, we will just write a big LOL on the NAM and call it, because I don't think that's going to happen. The GFS, as I said, is the furthest north, and it delivers, an inch or two of snow. But notice for Indiana, it's got an inch or two of snow as well. I'm a little skeptical of that. That's the furthest one north. We'll see what today's models do. And then finally, here's the Canadian model, and again, it's on board more with the snow generally down in Kentucky. Again, right here along the Ohio River, you might get an inch or two out of this as well. Again, officially, the winter weather advisory is all south of the Ohio River. There's nothing in Indiana. Could that change? If the morning model data suggests that we may get a little bit more, you might see this creep a little bit more north. Don't think you're going to see it creep a whole lot more north. So, Posey, Vanderburgh, Warwick, Spencer, Perry counties, you might get added to this. There is a possibility of that if today's data comes in. But if you're further north than that, I'm really doubting it. I think the placement is pretty good right now because, again, I think this is mostly going to be a Kentucky event. Here's the forecast from the National Weather Service. Again, the Paducah office calling generally for 1 to 3 inches with isolated higher amounts. And again, that's down in the winter weather advisory area, which doesn't include Indiana. It's all down in Kentucky. Their second graphic, you can see, they forecast less than an inch here for Indiana and most of Illinois. And again, you don't get into 1 to 3 inches as you get down here into Kentucky. Now, if you go to the Louisville forecast office of the National Weather Service, again, pretty much the same thing here as well. But again, you notice, as I said, right here, some counties right along the Ohio River, you may get into that. So, if you're down right across the river in Rockport there from Owensboro, or if you're in Tell City, or maybe down here toward Alton, or you're down here towards Elizabeth, and some places right along the Ohio River, yes, you could get a little bit of this, but the further north you go, if you're up here in Jasper, Paoli, Salem, you're probably not going to get anything to speak of out of this. Maybe some flakes flying, but that would be about it. Probably nothing sticking. So that's the way things shake up right now. So I'll have an update again this afternoon. Again, winter weather advisories into effect for 1 to 3 inches of snow if you're down in Kentucky. If you're north of the Ohio River, generally an inch or less out of that. And I say probably far less than an inch, especially the further north you go. Most of Indiana just frankly going to miss out on this one. But there is a chance, especially in the southwest corner of the state towards the Evansville metro area and counties sort of along the river there. Yes, there is a chance that we could see a little bit of snow out of this. Going beyond this, though, it isn't going to stick around long any way you cut it. So if I just go over here and take a look, if it wants to load, I'll take a look at the model data here for you and just show you what the raw model output here is of things. And you can see here is the Euro forecast for Evansville. And, it's a cool week. But look, we reached 47 on Monday. So anything that falls isn't going to stick around very long. Yeah, we get down to 28 tonight, but we warm up fast tomorrow morning. And then take a look at this. By next weekend, we're talking temperatures in the 70s. So we got a cool week to come here. But folks, this is probably winter's last hurrah. If I just take you over to the ensemble data, you can see that as we go out later into March, we're going to get much warmer. And so we've got some cool days, some snow maybe falling late tonight, and then we got a few cool days this week, but it's a big warming trend after that. And that we can be thankful for that. Winter's last two raw. All right, I'll have an update to this later this afternoon, whether it's in video format or a post on Facebook. I don't know. I've got a busy day at church coming up, but I will keep an eye on things and keep you up to date as best I can. I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite, WilhiteWX.com. Have a great day and keep it tuned here for more.